How many handicapping groups can say they were around before Twitter, MySpace, AOL, Sunday morning cable infomercials, beepers, and 1-800 numbers? Founded in 1957, the Gold Sheet is the country's longest-running sports betting newsletter and has served bettors for over 6 decades. So between 1957 and now, if you have not checked out the Gold Sheet, here's your chance for only $1 per day. Head to goldsheet.com and just go to Buy Now or click the special box on the main page to get both the NBA Gold Sheet and College Basketball Gold Sheet newsletter for only $7. For just $1 per day, you will receive projected scores, spread and totals, power ratings and strength of schedule, teams straight up, against the spread, and over-under records and their season average line for both sides and total. Plus, tons more handicapper information to help you bet with confidence, and of course, tons of picks. This offer is for a limited time only, so act fast and head to goldsheet.com and try it out for 7 days for only $7. You'll be glad you did.
Hey guys, welcome in on a very happy, Wednesday to you here now, the 16th of November, and we got ourselves a pretty decent college basketball card to go over with. A couple of big name schools going at it tonight. We're going to see if we can't find you a few more winners to add to your card, and we're going to do it with three of the finest, one of the finest and most upstanding. I didn't see Bryan Power there. Welcome in, gentlemen. Always good to see you. That was Mejia by default, by the way. It's always a pleasure to see you guys. Really, no, honestly, it is. 3 games here tonight. We're going to break on the show with some best bets, but what a great night of college basketball last night there, Bryan Power. Love when the Blue Bloods get to go head-to-head. Get to test their teams here a little bit. And, man, say what you want. Pretty impressed with Michigan State. What do you think we got tonight? And what do you have for us ready, locked, and loaded at Wager Talk?
Well, first of all, Joe, you promised me that as long as Tony Finn was on the show, I wasn't going to get the pot shots right off the rip. So I'm a little heartbroken here to start the program. But a pleasure, as always, to be on. We got some great games to break down. College football, we gave a little back last night. Ohio, Ball State, a very frustrating game to watch on this end. But we did have a college hoops winner. You mentioned all the stuff that went down last night there, Joe. I had South Alabama. They were able to sneak back in under the number against Alabama. And football's running great this year. And we got a 5% play loaded for tomorrow in NFL. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to talking to these guys today.
Absolutely. Good games here. Tony Mejia, we had you on the show yesterday. We talked about a few of those games. They were entertaining as all hell, although I thought the Duke game wasn't going to end till like 2 in the morning. But what do you got ready to go here tonight? Anything locked and loaded at Wager Talk?
Yeah, I did hit my 4% NBA play, so we're 2 for 2 on the week on those. With the Kings on money line against the Nets, and man, what a shooting display! Broke the 150-point mark. Wish they could all be like that. And then the college basketball proved to me that they can't all be like that because it was a bloodbath for me. But we're going to figure it out because it's been very interesting. I lost 2 games that went to overtime. Mady Sissoko looks like the most improved player in the country right now. He plays Gonzaga really tight, and Drew Timme. And then last night, Oscar Tshiebwe was who I thought he was going to be, which is why I came in on Kentucky late after watching him warm up. And that's the beauty of technology now. You can actually see what these guys that are somewhat injured look like as they're warming up for games. So Kentucky looked good to me. Tried to pull away multiple times, couldn't. That Kansas-Duke game was great. Kyle Filipowski and Grady Dick are taking turns finding out who's going to be the most annoying player in college basketball this year, but both played great. College basketball is now in full swing, and we'll continue to talk about it today.
Yeah, no, love it, and like the games here tonight on the card as well. What do you think Tony, Finn, what do you got ready to roll here tonight? Association, college, what's going on?
Well, I did some extra Jethro ciphering this morning, so I have not put up the plays yet, but they're ready to rock and roll. And as soon as the show's over, and the next break I have without multitasking during the show with my typewriter being overbearing and irritating and rude. I have a nice card though. Got a little bit of college, got a little bit of NBA. Yesterday we did the NBA show together, Joe, and I was better in the NBA than I wasn't, and mostly thanks to the Clippers +7 and under that 212 that we talked about. So today, in this college basketball show, I'm really liking this first game a little bit with Texas and Gonzaga, and I find it pretty interesting. We'll talk about that, obviously, coming right up.
Yep, yeah, it's got. Looking forward to diving into this card here, gentlemen. Let us start with that game if we can, because gotta love it here. Another litmus test for both of these teams. The Zags taking on UT -2 with a total of 144.5. This is going to be 9:30 Eastern time tip somewhere in that ballpark there. So, Bryan Power, kick us off here, my man. How are you approaching this game tonight?
First off, I just want to compliment Tony Finn that he can load his plays with the typewriter. That's incredible stuff.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic.
I mean, I'm in awe of that, to be honest. But getting back to the subject matter at hand here, Gonzaga and Texas. Wow, man, Gonzaga's challenging itself over the first month or so of the season. Already played Michigan State on a boat, and then they've got 4 more teams, including tonight, ranked in the top 18 on the docket. Kentucky, Baylor, Arkansas, and here Texas. Last year these teams played. Gonzaga, it was a 12-point win. They led by 20 at the half. They're 4-0 straight up all-time and against the number versus Texas, so they've got a good history. But it should be pointed out, Joe, as you remember, against Michigan State, they were down as many as 12 in the second half, turned it over 22 times. Maybe a little bit lucky to get the win there, but I cannot fade Gonzaga as an underdog. And what I'm looking at here is you've got to expect they're going to score more than they did in the last game. Those are unfavorable conditions, obviously playing on an aircraft carrier. I don't know if you guys saw any of the video. There was a free throw attempt, and the ball, it just went to the left. It was crazy. So, tough to make them that way. And
defective balls.
Yes, but I don't know if it was defective balls or not, but I'll let you talk about that one, Tony. But here's the thing. Gonzaga shoots 41.8% overall against Michigan State, only 4 for 18 from the three. Those are not the numbers we're used to seeing from the Zags. Also should be noted the opponent, Michigan State, 3 for 16 on three-point attempts. We're going to see better three-point shooting in this game. I know Texas is a good defensive team, but take that number 1 efficiency rating with a grain of salt. They faced UTEP and Houston Christian. So I think Gonzaga's going to do well on the offensive boards tonight. They are grabbing a third of all available offensive rebounds. Drew Timme, he looked great against Michigan State, and I'm on the over here. I believe last week on the show I was 3 for 3 with totals. Let's see if we can do that again. Spoiler alert. But this is the one I like the least. But over 144.5 is my call on this matchup.
Styles make a fight here, Tony Mejia, because one of these teams likes to run. The other, it's like watching paint dry. So something going to give here tonight, Mejia. What is it?
Yeah, one of these teams likes to run, and the other is coached by Chris Beard. And we know exactly what we're going to get from him. And look, if Texas had its big men from 2 years ago, this would be lights out, Texas all the way. If they had a big man like Jericho Sims, who's with the Knicks now playing pretty well, and Kai Jones, still trying to make it with Charlotte, this would be a primo Texas team. But it's not. They actually don't have much height. Dylan Disu is going to be their big man, it looks like. And he's got Drew Timme duty tonight. And, yeah, it's going to be challenging, though, for Bryan to get the over here. And that's why I'm going to stay away from the total. Because on paper, I would say, Gonzaga likes to push at all costs. But the fact that Beard's team is going to slow things down and probably ball pressure to make it difficult for Timmy to get the ball funneled into him inside. Kind of a challenge for me. This is a weird Texas team. We've got Tyrese Hunter, the Iowa State transfer, is one guard, Marcus Carr, who's been in college basketball since 2017. Also a ball handler there, and it's stunning that he's still around, but he's played at multiple schools. A lot of people know him from Minnesota, but he's now been at Texas for a second season. Timmy Allen's a veteran. So this is a veteran Texas team against a Gonzaga team that lost a lot from last year. Obviously Chet Holmgren gone, and he was the top defender in college basketball last year because of his size and his mobility. And they lost the point guard Andrew Nembhard, who's now with the Pacers. So not as good Gonzaga team as we've seen in years past. And I thought it was interesting that Michigan State challenged them like they did, although that looks a lot better after last night. Malachi Smith, now there's two Malachi Smiths too, by the way. The non-Dayton Malachi Smith that we're still waiting on, who missed last night's game, is a premier point guard. And the other one, a Chattanooga transfer, one of the most coveted transfers in the market this past offseason, chose Gonzaga and was a game changer against Michigan State with 6 steals off the bench. But this Zags team, not as deep. I think Texas, if they get one of these Gonzaga players, be it Hickman or Watson or Strother, in foul trouble, they can win this game. And it's curious to me that they are favored even at home. I think my lean is Texas, but total-wise, it could go either way. Probably is going to depend on foul trouble. And I will say this, if I were to play a total on this game, it would be on the first half under, because I think it's going to be a root canal for Gonzaga to play Texas and get adjusted to that on the road, especially coming off an outdoor game on an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Ken Pom has got Texas as one of the top-rated defenses. Gonzaga is one of the top-rated offenses here, Tony Finn. So which one wins in this matchup here tonight?
Well, you said it. The first, and in truth, in fact, be transparent on this. Ken Pom has Texas as the number 1 rated defense, and by an entire point, which may not sound like much, but if you guys all know Ken Pom ratings, for those who don't, that's a lot. That's a lot, especially this early in the season. Maybe it's not that strange. It is early. Texas has played 2 clubs. As mentioned, the competition wasn't that stiff. Gonzaga, a tough test, right, against who we saw who Michigan State is yesterday, right? We saw a lot of things yesterday, actually, in those 2 games. We saw a smaller Kansas team beat 2 7-footers that are pretty good players and did it, giving up 18 offensive rebounds. This Gonzaga team won despite the defective balls that some of those players have. And this is going to be an ugly game to watch, Joe, I think, in my opinion. I don't know about you guys. It's going to be one of those, are the Zags going to be able to get up and play at some tempo? This isn't a big Texas team. This isn't. They have some upperclassmen, but really they're 5-star. They got a 5-star recruit. They got an Iowa State transfer. The Iowa State transfer is Tyrese Hunter, and Marcus Carr and Timmy Allen. They're the offense. And I want to tell you something. This team isn't going to shoot a bunch of threes. They're going to, even though they're smaller, they're going to take the rock to the rim. That's what they do. Can Gonzaga defend the rock at the rim? This team's a different team than last year, and in my opinion is this, and that is this Texas team is so damn athletic. It's going to be a defense behind Beard, and we all know about Beard's defenses. You cannot deny that this guy is an amazing when it comes to getting his kids on the same page defensively. It's 40 minutes of irritating basketball if you're the other team against Texas Tech. We've all played basketball. It's no fun. It's 40 minutes of miserable guy in your face, calling your mother names, sticking his hand in your crotch, pinching you, biting you, spitting on you. It's ugly stuff, and it's going to be fun. That's going to be fun to watch, but it's going to be ugly to watch. You have to know this. Texas isn't the public team here, yet they're favored. This is a true road game for Gonzaga. So put whatever you want, weight on that you want this early in the season, Joe, and you guys. It's interesting that Texas is a favorite. I don't care. If Texas is 5 points better than Gonzaga, this is still closer to a pick'em game because the odds makers know who the public team here, and I think by tip off. I think you're going to see not the 1.5, but I think you're going to see a pick if the public's active. I like Texas here.
All right, liking UT to get it done there against the Zags. Should be a fun one for sure. We still got some Gavitt games we got to get through as well, and this one, talk about contrast and styles. How about Iowa taking on Seton Hall? What, about one now? Seton Hall laying it there. The game is, I think, in Newark in Seton Hall there. 151.5 as the total. And listen, Fran McCaffrey, if we know one thing about him is get ready, rev your engines, here they come, Bryan Power. So how do you think that goes up against the new coach here in Seton Hall?
Yeah, I think it's going to be deja vu here in terms of the conversation we have on this game compared to the last one, right? Two extremely different teams. Very interesting to me. Caught my eye immediately as I looked at the Wager Talk odds screen earlier this morning. This total ticked up pretty quickly, even though Seton Hall 38-17 to the under their last 55 games, 2-0 this year. Of course, they played Monmouth and St. Peter's, two, as we say in the Midwest here, MAC teams. So held them to 96 points. But this is going to be a much tougher defensive test, though, as you know, Joe, because Iowa basketball, a lot different than Iowa football, not just talking about the sport, obviously very different, but a Hawkeyes third in offensive efficiency in the country, averaging 1.3 points per possession. They're going to push tempo, 23rd in the country at Ken Pom, third best turnover rate. So not only are they pushing tempo, they don't give it away a lot. Chris Murray had 22-8 against North Carolina A&T. That's a game I believe Iowa hit the century mark. I didn't write that down officially, but I know they had a ton. Iowa, they also gave up 71 in that game, but Seton Hall, oh, by the way, scored 79 and 80 in its two games. Yes, they did a great job defensively, but they're averaging 79.5 points per game. Again, styles make fights, two contrasting teams. I like this one a little bit more than the last game. Again, over is the call here.
Ooh, all right. Liking it to go up and over. Mejia, what are you thinking? How you leaning in this one?
Yeah, I mean, look, Iowa scored 112. So, yeah, Brian's absolutely right. They crossed the century mark in their last game. It was North Carolina A&T. I watched most of the second half of that Bethune-Cookman game because I was on the over with Iowa against the Wildcats, and it didn't get there because the Wildcats were held to 58 points, and Iowa could have gotten to 100 if they wanted to in that game. But I also wanted to see how the Hawkeyes would look without Keegan Murray, number 4 pick in the draft. Was part of the 152-point explosion from the Sacramento Kings last night. And brother Chris is going to be the leading scorer. But the what also screamed immediately was that Tony Perkins is going to be the X factor of that team, being as explosive as they're going to be. They still have Patrick McCaffrey, Connor McCaffrey's on that team, but it's not as talented when you lose a top 5 NBA pick if other guys don't step up. And that's where I think Seton Hall can certainly take advantage tonight, because Iowa hasn't really played anybody, with respect to both BCC and NCAA. And Seton Hall, although those are, well, now Monmouth is in the Colonial, but former Metro Atlantic school, that obviously Shaheen Holloway knows really well because he was in that league. And then he plays St. Peter's, the team that he took to the tournament last year to beat Kentucky, and got this job as a result, although he's an alum and was on the short list of that, and absolutely shows them no love. I mean, dismantles them 80-44. And Joe, I know you like Casey and Defoe's game as a defender. He's barely playing, and this looks like a very deep roster. This is going to be a client play for me, although I say that with a grain of salt because I've sucked in college basketball so far. Surprisingly to me, but we'll get that fixed. This is going to be a client play. I like Seton Hall a lot.
Seton Hall and get it done. Like it. What do you think, Tony Finn? Seton Hall, the way you're leaning in this one? Or are you going Iowa?
Well, I think that's a really good question, considering I asked myself that same question when I looked at this game and did my due diligence on it. And I passed over this game for a couple of reasons. There's a lot of unknowns with the Holloway, and Seton Hall is going to be a defensive team. I think we already heard that from my other two esteemed colleagues, and that's that they're going to be defense first. This isn't going to be the tempo battle that maybe the Gonzaga-Texas game is going to be. But Iowa's really just efficient. They're just efficient. They offensively, man, I think they have 100 and I think they're like 114 or 115. I don't have it in front of me at KenPom as far as efficiency rating goes, and that's fifth in the top 5 as far as offenses go. It's early, but I trust Pomeroy Kent and his ratings. He does a good job. He's typically spot on or at least close to it with teams. And in truth, if you look at his ratings, guys, and their overall ratings, and then you look at the spreads the odds makers out there, it's pretty obvious that Pomeroy's got his numbers out before the odds makers, and they use him too. Or at least they compare it, guys, right? Because it's rare that they're off 2 or 3 points. It's just rare unless there's an injury, et cetera, et cetera. In this game, do you trust the Pirates? Do you trust the Pirates? They did. They've come out 2-0. They've been pretty good. They've scored, as Tony said, and held their opponent down. Iowa has scored 80, 79, or 80 something, and 112 or something. That's pretty darn good. Although the competition hasn't been what it needs to be. At least it's going to be tougher tonight for them to be that efficient. The Pirates don't shoot the ball very well. They at least early on. I don't trust this team to shoot well enough to beat Iowa. And if I'm on this game and I'm in this war room and talking and pushing this to my clients, I'm going to have to stick to the. And I'm sorry to say, I'm going to have to be in the Big Ten and on Iowa as hard as this be, because all I think about is bad offense. When I think of Iowa, I know that's football, but that's all I can think of every time somebody mentions Iowa. Say, man, have they scored yet? Have they scored yet? So
they're averaging 100 points a game, T.
Yeah, I think they're going to score in this one. I have a feeling there's going to be points here. But it should be a good one. Get ready here, Seton Hall taking on Iowa. We got one other game we're going to talk about here, and this one is part, I believe, of the Legends Classic. It's at the Barclays Center, and we got Arizona State taking on VCU here with a total of 134. VCU, that number has climbed now to 4.5, and I think I don't believe Bagley is available for Arizona State. Which, of course, is probably why we got this line increasing for VCU. Not to mention, they're like a bad rash, VCU. They get all over you. There's really nothing you can do about it. You get all pissed off. And we've seen it, if I'm not mistaken. 21 turnovers is what VCU created there last time out. So I don't see how this goes well for Arizona State, Bryan Power. What do you think?
Yeah, this line also is probably a reaction to what happened the last time Arizona State took the court, a part of a just disastrous performance by the Pac-12 in the Legacy Series with the SWAC. I know their loss to Texas Southern was interesting to some, they may say, around here. So congrats there. But these teams are combined 0-5 against the number. And I don't think there's any value left with VCU at the current price. So I'm going to, again, look to the total. Look, speaking of turnovers, you alluded to it, Joe. We know about the full court press VCU is going to put on here, but they coughed it up, I believe, 24 times themselves against Morgan State. But still, going back to the defense, they held their first 2 opponents to an average of 55 points. Arizona State, should be pointed out, has held 2 of their 3 opponents under 60 in regulation. Of course, that game against Texas Southern went to overtime, 67-66 was the final. And the Sun Devils just not a good shooting team, gang. 31% from 3, 44% from 2, and 64% from the line. No thanks. Arizona State was also out-rebounded by Texas Southern, it should be pointed out. So, of the 3 totals that I have talked about today, this one is my favorite. It is the best bet on the show. It is the under for Virginia Commonwealth and Arizona State. Neutral game, so none of the shooters are going to be that comfortable either, Joe. It's another reason to go under.
Listen, nobody's comfortable shooting at the Barclays Center. Good God Almighty. Talk to me here, Mejia. I mean, every March Madness tournament time comes around at the Barclays Center. It's like under. What do you think here, Mejia? How you looking at this game with VCU? You looking at the total, or you picking a side here?
Probably not going to touch this game, but if I do, I'm with Bryan Power on the under. Ace Baldwin comes off a 7-steal game, and it's a shame Marcus Bagley, I guess he fell and developed a hip pointer because he was not healthy all of last year. That was a big problem for the Sun Devils. And one reason why I was surprised Bobby Hurley lasted into this season, because I remember calling for his firing on this very show last year when they underachieved and looked like they were bickering despite an obscene amount of talent that they've managed to land in Tempe over the last couple of years, due to Hurley's recruiting efforts. I just don't think he's much of an X's and O's guy. Brandon Johns is now at VCU, former Michigan sixth man, reserve, and he started off the season well. I would lean VCU in this game, but this is why I think if I do anything with this game, it will be on the under. If you want to salt away a game that what was the number, 4.5 late, you have, and you're on the favorite, you have to trust their free throw shooting, considering teams that are down are going to score and foul. Right now, Brandon Johns, 62.5% from the line. Ace Baldwin, 58% from the line. Jamil Watkins, 57% from the line. And David Shriver, 67% from the line. So you have no solid free throw shooter to trust there down the stretch, but I wouldn't take points with Arizona State. I do have a free play available. It'll be on my Twitter feed on the first game of this Legends Classic between Michigan and Pittsburgh. So follow me at Mejia Dinero or look at that feed probably a little later after the show for that. That's the early start, I believe 6:30 Eastern.
All right, good stuff there. And Tony Finn, talk to us here, my man.
Yes, sir.
How you leaning in this game? Total side?
Well, I would be on the side in this game if I make that decision. It's not on my card, but I looked at this game, and you're correct. You guys are all correct. You talked about some injuries. VCU is pretty healthy, but Bagley, he's been ruled out, by the way. So I found that out about a half hour ago, and I didn't get that from any injury report I got from someone else. But Jam Neal is out indefinitely as well. Gray State. So VCU's healthy. I bet against. At least I faded VCU in opening game against Manhattan. I like this Manhattan team. At least I like them when they're double-digit dogs, like they were against VCU. And I thought I liked the game enough that I put it up there as a best bet on the card at Wager Talk and failed. VCU. I thought they'd come out slow. I thought they would have some. They've got some new additions to that team, and that's the one thing about press defenses, to be cohesive early in the season. A lot of times there's issues, but there doesn't seem to be one, again, with this VCU team. And they've held both their opponents, I think, under 50, at least close to that from my recollection. But they're forcing turnovers on every one of every 3 possessions. They're forcing a turnover. Now, can Arizona State avoid that? I mean, a couple of good point guards in this game, guys, and I that we talked about that. And the question is, can Arizona State handle this press, the pressure they're going to get? It's ugly pressure again. We seem to have a couple games today that if we're forced to watch these 2 games and watch Texas do their defensive bit, Seton Hall do their defensive bit, get some defense against offense. And in this case, I'm going to lean VCU again. I'm going to lean the defensive side of this because of Arizona's injuries, and the fact is that they're just not a good shooting team. And if you're going to turn the ball over 1 every 3 times, if Arizona falls into that container, guys, it's going to be tough for them to win a game, to score 60 points. You're going to have to score 65 or 70 points to beat VCU, and I'm showing no evidence from the Sun Devils that they're going to be able to do that. So give me VCU.
All right, taking VCU to get it done here tonight. So a couple side, a little bit of an under. A little something in those 3 games should be good to go. And, of course, we've got our best bets here. We'll go around the horn and let you guys know if there is a game on the card tonight these guys like a little bit more than the rest. So, Bryan Power, why don't you kick us off here? Give us a game here tonight you like a little bit more than the rest.
Go back to the one we just talked about with that under on VCU Arizona State, Joe. Again, Arizona State does not shoot well. Major absence from the lineup. VCU's team that's, you're not going to turn your bad shooting around against. But, again, at the same time, Arizona State, they've played good defense too. So I think we're in for a low-scoring rock fight tonight. And as you mentioned, the Barclays Center, not exactly a shooter's haven to begin with.
No, it is not. And that is where he is going. Best bet. Tony Mejia, how about you? Where are you leaning towards tonight?
I will go with BYU in the first half at home. believe laying 5.5 against Missouri State. And I do so because I wrote the BYU West Coast Conference preview for our Wager Talk college basketball preview that you can find on Ralph Michaels' page. And I mean, I think BYU is going to be okay. They'll contend for an NCAA tournament bid, but I have them finishing 4th. They lost Alex Barcelo and Tejan Lucas, their backcourt from last year. They do have Fusini Triori, a double-double machine back, and they got Gideon George and some other guys that are playing. But the Marriott Center is my big draw here, and how tough it is to play in Provo. And Missouri State debuted this season against Missouri S&T, which I had to look up, is Missouri Institute of Science and Technology. They beat them 82-47, so they're in for a little bit of a shock in the first 20 minutes in Provo. I'll lay the 5.5 with BYU.
All right, boom, getting it done in Provo. What do you think, Tony, Finn? Which one of these games, or any game for that matter, you might be leaning towards?
Before I tell you that, let me pull this. I want to pull up and make sure the line. Yeah, I want to make sure everything lines right before I embarrass everybody and myself included here.
Okay.
But I want to go to yesterday's card, and then I can give you my best bet will be a winner. I think, if I read it right. So, we're gonna go to. Hold on a second. I want to pull this up. Yeah.
How's that working out for you? Is that good?
Yeah,
you got it?
right.
Okay, not a problem. Let me know.
I'll tell a joke really quick.
Let me know when you're ready. Yeah, just let me know when you find something, anything. You got it? No? All right, I'll tell you what. In the meantime, I'm going to go to the Gold Sheet play today. Oh, you found it?
Thank you.
No,
go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
All right, yeah, we're gonna give them out. This is what they're doing. This is like stretch. That's what they want me to do here. The Gold Sheet play today is Michigan taking on Pittsburgh. This too is going to be part of that legacy tournament there at the Barclays Center. And ironically enough, this game has gone the other way here. Starting to see some Pittsburgh money coming in, but the Gold Sheet says, oh, hell no. And I would encourage you guys to head over there and read the write-up, not to mention the other write-ups they have on these games tonight. Great handicapping tools available to you there over at thegoldsheet.com. Take advantage of it, guys. And Michigan is going to be their best bet here tonight, and hopefully Tony Finn has found what he was looking for. Tony Finn, how about you?
I apologize. I won't tell you about the technical issues because they'll bore everybody. Yes, and I am going to stick with my original pick was the Cincinnati Bearcats on this. Cincinnati Bearcats against Northern Kentucky. And in this situation, the Cincinnati Bearcats are basically a better team, top to bottom. Better offensively, I think, better defensively. Northern Kentucky will be the home team, but this is not very far away from it. These are two schools that are located in the same neighborhood, let's say. And the Bearcats come in shooting. They're better from the floor so far, and it's early in the season. Better from the free throw line. This team is better top to bottom, and I thought the line being, since Cincinnati's a road team, I thought this line was fair and proper as far as perception goes. But I sure like the Cincinnati Bearcats -6.5, and I'll keep it short. Cincinnati -6.5, not a touchdown, not football. The Bearcats on the hardwood over Western Kentucky.
All right, there you go. All right, I got a dog here. We're going to go with tonight, guys, and it's definitely not going to be Northern Kentucky. However, it is going to be Detroit tonight, getting 1.5 at home against Ohio, which lost all three of their top scorers from a year ago. Mike Davis, the coach. Antoine Davis, his son, decided to stay for that 5th year. The kid is an absolute stud. I don't know why they're getting a point and a half, but I will gladly take it with Detroit tonight at home, taking on Ohio. And to recap one more time, Bryan Power's going VCU, Arizona State under that 134, guys, while Tony Finn says take Luke Fickell in Cincinnati. He's going to go 6.5 on that one. While Mejia go to Provo in the first half, lay it with BYU. I am going to take that 1.5 with Detroit, and our friends at the Gold Sheet like Michigan to get it done, laying
real quick, Joe.
8.5. Go ahead.
Just the play that I mentioned earlier that you can find on my feed later is that Michigan-Pittsburgh game, and I didn't write that write-up, but it's only on the first half, and it is Hunter Dickinson, obviously, or the Wolverines, facing off against a kid at Pittsburgh named Federico.
Yes.
From Finland.
Yep.
So, you can
love that.
And
tune into
Joe,
that. Mejia
I apologize too.
Go ahead.
I apologize. I said Western Kentucky when I meant Northern Kentucky.
Well,
And
you
the
know where
total
you
in
meant.
this, and the Fickle, the total of this game is 137. So
Luke,
so I'd be under the 137
Luke doesn't
on
give
the
up
gridiron.
a whole lot of points, so we know where you were. Hey guys, if you head over to wagertalk.com, I can assure you they've got the shit listed correctly over there. All you got to do is go visit Bryan Power, visit Tony Finn along with Tony Mejia. The plays are locked and loaded, ready to go here tonight. Make sure you visit their pages there, and of course, make sure you make plans. Come back and join us again tomorrow. Another 3-pack of games plus some best bets we'll have for you on the college basketball tip-off show. Until then, on behalf of the Tony brothers and Bryan Power, we appreciate the time, guys. Best of luck with all your plays tonight. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Good luck.
How many handicapping groups can say they were around before Twitter, MySpace, AOL, Sunday morning cable infomercials, beepers, and 1-800 numbers? Founded in 1957, the Gold Sheet is the country's longest-running sports betting newsletter and has served bettors for over 6 decades. So between 1957 and now, if you have not checked out the Gold Sheet, here's your chance for only $1 per day. Head to goldsheet.com and just go to Buy Now or click the special box on the main page to get both the NBA Gold Sheet and College Basketball Gold Sheet newsletter for only $7. For just $1 per day, you will receive projected scores, spread and totals, power ratings and strength of schedule, teams straight up, against the spread, and over-under records and their season average line for both sides and total. Plus, tons more handicapping information to help you bet with confidence, and of course, tons of picks. This offer is for a limited time only, so act fast and head to goldsheet.com and try it out for 7 days for only $7. You'll be glad you did.